Swear by all that's holy that I'd had plans on Sunday to make this video. And of course, I had no foreknowledge of what was going to happen yesterday, but it perfectly meshes in to that. Don't really like boards, like posting boards or forum boards, because a lot of the people there, of course, they're like people at a boxing ring. What they do is, there'll be two people in the ring, going at each other, like, I'm going to get that guy, and it's like, well, you're not in the world-class boxer, you're a lot of talk, and people ignore facts, and they're emotional, and I was on live stream last night, and because of the event, I'm going to call it the event, that happened yesterday, there was at a couple points in time in live stream, and my live streams are never monetized, where there's a little over 600 people there, and they wanted my commentary on some things. There's 6 things I knew immediately, and we were talking about debate, and just talking the same way I'm talking now. And a few people say, "Why aren't you getting emotional?" It's like I'm not. Number one, I'm old. Number two, I have seen a lot. I've seen a lot more than most people have, and emotions don't really help anything. Emotions are for movies and music, and your kids and your wife and your family. Outside of that, emotions should be turned off. But I've been debating for decades, and the event that happened yesterday, and this video is not about the event that happened yesterday. It's about the whole ethos that actually surrounds it and the reason why it's escalating. And as a person that has been debating several topics for decades, I can assure you I've really got my eyes peeled on it getting worse. And I know why it's getting worse. And nobody's talking about this, but I'd like to explain it about how it's getting worse and why it's getting worse. I kind of grew up with an analytical mind, reading Platonism and retroductive logic of problem solving, and I used to do tech support for Lexmark. And they absolutely despised me there, not because I was doing a bad job, but everybody else in tech support, they'd keep logs on how quickly a person could diagnose the problem. It was like, that person took 5 minutes, this person took 6 minutes to diagnose, and so they'd have graphs. But over here, I was diagnosing the problems just as accurate as anybody else, but it was only taking me 1/5 or 1/6 as much time, and everybody despised me because they post up the graphs. And I could listen to the managers listen and say, what is this guy doing that 40 other, it's like 40 of us, 40 other people weren't doing? This was laser hardware tech support. It's like, what is he doing? He's doing the same thing, but he's doing it, a zillion times faster than everybody else. And it just have this ability to, bleed out the erroneous stuff and get into diagnostic elimination. Debate is a lot like that. And debate is not for the sake of winning, like a boxing match, so you can hold the gold medal over your head and say that you won. It's about getting to the truth. And I've said this a million times, and I've told people this for countless years, especially in video, is that it's fine to have beliefs, but beliefs are the golden calf. The evil golden idol that people have built up now, that it's destroying them. And a lot of people have serious issues and convictions. I mean, they have beliefs on top of beliefs. And this is why things are skewing out. And it has a whole lot to do with social media, and I'd like to get to that very quickly. I also did Apple tech support. I remember famously I could diagnose things really quickly. One guy, how do you know what I'm doing? I asked him 2 questions is all it took. This guy, well, this is a laptop computer, and it's only like 5 months old, and the computer is already ruined. It won't hold a charge anymore. I didn't know who the guy was. He's on the other end of the keyboard. I said, do you play games a lot? Yeah, I do. Okay. I knew this. Question number 2, it took me 10 seconds to diagnose a problem on a computer that I couldn't see, and I didn't know who the guy was, just over the keyboard. Question number 2, so okay, we've established you play games. Question number 2, do you always play games on battery? In other words, it's not plugged in. It's like, yeah, that's true. I'm usually playing games, and So that's why your battery's destroyed. Lithium battery technology doesn't like fast discharges like that. It wrecks the battery. I knew he was playing games, and I knew he was doing so, which would have been okay if you had it plugged in. But he didn't have it plugged in. It's like, this is why your battery's destroyed on a brand new, we bought it new, not refurbished or something, on a brand new computer. All lithium battery technology is the same. It doesn't matter if it's Apple or IBM or HP. It's the exact same issue. So getting to the heart of the issue and doing diagnostic elimination problem solving I'm really good at, and that has to do with debate. And I'm not trying to, praise myself on this. I'm talking about getting to the point on something. And a lot of people, the same issue that you actually have falsely in your brain is the same issue that this guy used to have. I mean, he'd show up at colleges, which is where some of the most anti-intellectual, unintelligent people are. And, it's kind of like being the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. It's like, well, you only got one eye. I say, yeah, but everybody else is blind. So I can't actually be praiseworthy of a person that goes to colleges and debates a lot of pseudo-intellectuals and anti-intellectuals. But the debate tactics are valid, and I know who he was. I was neither for him or against him, and this video is not about him, but the problem comes is that people have praise of the self in the mirror. And this is your golden calf. It becomes your idol. People, and I'm not against people's silly beliefs, but you are not your beliefs. The 99% of the world's problems, other than taxes and conventional existential issues, which are inescapable, no matter how long you live, no matter how rich you are, they're inescapable, is this idea that you are your beliefs. But people cling on to it so tightly. This is talked about in ancient texts from thousands of years ago, from Prakrit texts that have been translating now for 27 years plus. The same is true, found in Platonism, and people, and I've seen some of his debates, they're rather funny. They're just not that intellectual because he's debating with what I call, just anti-intellectual, pseudo-intellectual college people. One guy shows up with a bullhorn. I mean, you can tell the guy's angry. They're so angry because they have this really tight grip on their beliefs. I mean, it's just so tight, they're ready to, it's my beliefs, and how dare? It's like, no, this is your beliefs and this is who you are. People can't get past that. People literally have this golden calf, this idol that they're worshiping because, and I don't care if you have some belief in some sort of creationistic religion. I have nothing to do with any of that stuff. If you do, fine. I've never ever tried to convert anybody to anything. But when people actually eliminate out something that is transcendent to the self in the bathroom mirror, and they're a nihilist / atheist, they make an idol out of their beliefs. It is literally the golden calf that sits between the ears of basically everybody today who unfortunately is completely attached to social media, which reinforces this. I mean, this is really bad. Anyway, the guy in the bullhorn, he's debating him, this guy, and I'll say, well, he says, well, and this guy, the debater, from the incident from yesterday, he didn't have a college degree, which is not important. What you say to people like this, I got the exact same college degree as Plato, Pythagoras, and Shakespeare. I mean, that always shuts them up. You find these avenues to cut things off. People, only thing that's important is to have a sharp mind. The degree on the wall, papers are for dogs, okay? I went to college for many years. I've written books and I know many languages. Even the people that hate me, they don't think I'm stupid. It's not about degrees. I've never praised empirical knowledge. That's episteme. People are not taught how to think. I don't know how much I have to emphasize this, is that regurgitation of garbage does not teach you how to think. And social media is kind of like a perfect storm that's brewed, that people don't know how to think, and they're attached to their beliefs, and they think these are my beliefs, and I am what I believe, and this is who I am. And since you're going after my beliefs here, then you're going after me, and this is why I'm so angry. Ooh! It's not funny at all. This all transpired, and I've seen this for decades. I've been debating several topics for decades. I've seen it, and I've seen it get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. It's just a perfect storm. This is inevitable outcome of people making golden calves out of their beliefs. I mean, you really should listen to, I don't care if you, like when people, and debate is about that too. It's not about yourself. And people get really upset in the idea of relinquishing their beliefs because they think that is who they are. And it is not. It is so much better to live life by in accord with natural order. It's so much better to live light in the light of the truth of the one. Only thing this does is it muddies the waters of your clarity, your peace of soul. It really, really does. People think, you know, this cherished thing, their little beliefs, well, and it doesn't transcend separation between spirit and body at the time of disunion. So this thing that you're holding on to is not only not who you are, it's causing untold amounts of misery. Everybody likes to use the word Karen, and they like to talk about like blue-haired, disillusioned people that, and I've said this a million times, people these days that are so into social media and gaming, you know, they're living in a nutshell, sniffing their own flatulence, and they really, really are. And they're so tightly, it's my beliefs, and I'm never going to relinquish my beliefs because this is what I am. It's tearing you apart. If you're yelling, you've lost the debate. If you've committed a bunch of fallacies, you've lost the debate. I've encountered this a million times, and it's as predictable as sunrise. If they block you on a board, you just do nothing but posting facts. Fact, 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 fact. If they can't handle that and they block you, they've lost. Demons make it personal. People that create idols thence become worshippers of evil. They do become and transform into something demonic. We've met these people. Everybody has, like, man, that person's crazy. And it's like, well, you know, that's a correct description, but you've not explained why. They're so tightly attached to this thing. They make it personal rather than about facts and ideals. It's so much easier to live in clarity. When you cloud yourself up, you end up becoming a capacitor for everything that's horrible. When you let the light pass through you, kind of like the invisible person, you know, who could just bebop down the street, no concerns, nobody could see him. To live life like that is extremely empowering, and people think the upside down and opposite of it, they think it's disempowering. Well, it's not disempowering, it's empowering. I've lived a great deal of my life like that, not as much as I've liked. Also, too, I don't hold on to beliefs, and I said people will say all sorts of things if I'm winning a debate, and I'm always winning the debate, especially on the, you know, 10, 20, 30 topics that, you know, I know very, 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 very well. And they'll say, well, you're this, and you're fat, you're bald, you're tattooed, you know, yeah, blah, blah. I say, well, all this is true, but what's that have to do with what we're discussing? It's very, very disarming to them. They think that they're going to get you emotionally. They want to get a hook into you. You know, they'll yell, they'll block you, they'll use fallacy after fallacy, straw man fallacy, red herring fallacy, ad hominem fallacy. It doesn't work. It's like, no, we need to stick back on the topic. If you can't discuss the topic, then you don't have anything intelligent to say about it, and, you know, you've completely dismantled your position, which is nothing but a pile of silly beliefs. This is what you've been clinging on to. Instead of, you know, praising truth, yeah, I'm like a religious person here, you know, praising truth in the light of wisdom, you know, you're sitting here, you're gripping this little belief system so tightly. You are not your beliefs. And it's so much easier to just let go of that stuff. This is the reason why these people are so angry. They've got such a grip on it, and they're just, you know, they're in misery. Every second they grip it harder and harder and harder. And these people are not taught how to think. When you actually wield the facts like a sledgehammer, people are so in the dark, it doesn't work on them. But when you're actually having a debate out in the open, it's not about trying to convert anyone or anything. It's about everybody else, the hundreds of other people that are watching. It's like, yeah, this guy's got the facts. He didn't resort to emotions or illogical or belief system nonsense. He's just posting facts. The truth eventually always washes them away, and it always will. And the thing they held on to so tightly was a complete mirage. Now, 40 years ago, and this is an undeniable fact, 30 years ago too, really, especially like 50, 60 plus years ago, you had to be quite rich to be able to live in a fake fantasy land of delusions and nonsense. You know? Kind of like, what's his face? They made the movie about him, The Aviator. You know, he's just, he's just super, super rich, and whatever he wanted, he got. It's like, well, he's super rich, you know? If he wants to think crazy stuff. Hughes, I think Mr. Hughes, right? Yeah, super rich guy, and he's just something not right up there, and everybody, you know, entertained his woo. Well, he's super rich. You give him whatever he wants. Who cares? You know, he pays well. Today, a broke person living in the basement can do it. You know, sitting there playing video games, living in a fantasy land. They only watch the stuff they want to watch. They only listen to the stuff they want to listen to. They got blinders on, both visually and mentally, and they ignore things that, you know, upend the apple cart of their beliefs and delusions. And they live like that, and that's why they're so angry. Fundamentally, at the level of clarity, wisdom, and the divine, they know the silly thing that they've been gripping so tightly is just the phantasm. But they won't let it go. I mean, it is almost literally that people have got golden calves and idols in the very heart of their soul that they're clinging so tightly to protect. You know, if you're a truth seeker, and I've said this a million times too, you're on the right path if you're proven wrong. It's like, I was heading down the wrong way. I didn't know I was so wrong. I've been corrected with facts, logic, and wisdom. I've been pointed in the right direction. Or if you're headed down that path already, it's already been confirmed because nobody could debate you or disprove you. It's like you've gotten every attack possible, but nobody's like, you know, nobody's posted any facts or logic or wisdom to say that I'm incorrect on my position. Therefore, I know I'm headed in the right direction. So whether you're proven right or proven wrong, and you care about facts, logic, and wisdom, the truth, and the divine, which is ultimately natural order, or natura naturans, this is a great thing. It is easier to live like this. Also, too, beliefs are not individuality. Well, and people want this idea of this fantasy, and that is somehow independence. It's not individuality. And it's the opposite of independence. It's enslavement. It's leading a life of misery. I never really cared one way or the other about the guy from the incident from yesterday, and we know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, he's debating some of the least intelligent people who, well, I spent $30,000 this year on the education I got. I got a college degree on the way. It's like, you don't know anything. You just wasted your money. And the guy that was traveled all the college, I mean, it's just a waste. I mean, it's like going to dragon fighting schools. Like, you know, you're spending a lot of money learning how to fight dragons, and dragons don't exist. Well, I mean, there used to be actual dragon fighting schools. You know, these people would try to hoodoo you and, you know, make you pay money to learn how to fight things that don't exist. Well, if you show up, of course you're going to have the angry Karens, like the one guy that shows up to his debate at a college. He's got a bullhorn. He's just so angry. Ooh. I've encountered these people. They can't debate to save their own existence. And they have this golden calf that they're holding. It's like, well, no, this is wonderful. You know, I don't care what you believe. But you are not your beliefs, but only are you not your beliefs. This thing you're gripped on so tightly defending is not who you are. It's not natural order, and it can't withstand the light of day. It's kind of like those little chihuahuas, the beliefs these people have. It's kind of like those little fragile chihuahuas. They shake and they wee on themselves. And you see those little chihuahuas? They act really mean. The little chihuahuas. They're really fragile, and they're always shaking like they're freezing. It's just this fragile little thing that almost needs an oxygen tent to stay alive. And, you know, if these convictions that you have, which are not yourself and are causing you misery, is like that little chihuahua that needs an oxygen tent and, you know, a bunch of vitamins and special pills and a bi-weekly veterinarian visit. I mean, It means it's against natural order. It can't survive on its own. That's why these people are so upset. They got that little chihuahua in their head, which is a golden idol. They really have built up a golden calf of silly belief systems. It can't withstand simple logic. It can't withstand people that can see through fallacies, and they despise you for it. People, and the most important thing about this, that people think that you're losing something by relinquishing this nonsense. But it's exactly the inverse. Natural order and transcendent self cannot be denied or rejected. It can't be itself transcended because it is that which you inherently are. The false narratives block wisdom, they block insight, they block peace. Every one of these people, and this is a fact, they are so angry and so miserable because they're clinging on so tightly to this thing that they think is themselves. Oh, I'm going to protect you, like the little shaken chihuahua. It is not who they are. But they won't let it go. And by God, if you're like, you know, that chihuahua is like not long for this world. If you like let it go outside, a hawk is going to pick it up and take it away for lunch. And they get so upset. If you get upset about something that can't withstand the light of day, kind of like a fragile micro chihuahua, you know the ones I'm talking about, and they're shaking. The ones that people push in the baby buggies, you know. Would you build the baby? We'll feed you some munchkins. You know, it's got special food that the doctor prescribes for it. Without that special food, my little munchkin couldn't make it a week. It's like, well, nature is selecting this thing for elimination. It falls outside the parameter of natural order, common sense. I mean, that's the same thing with these people's beliefs. And that is 80% of the reason why they're so miserable. Nobody talks about this. I've never heard anybody actually take this vector of explaining this fact. Debate is not about argumentation. Like, Urgh! Life is so much more easy when you're embracing the truth and natural order and the light of wisdom. It just is. People need to stop identifying themselves as their beliefs. The thing in the mirror, the meat suit, is not who you are. Even less of what you are is this construct of beliefs. Well, I go there on Sunday and they tell me this is what I believe, and, you know, I believe it now. And, you know, I dare you to challenge my beliefs because this is who I am now. It's like, that's not who you are at all. It never was. You can't build your identity on the sands of fantasies and beliefs. Social media lets people isolate themselves. Like I said, live in a nutshell, sniffing their own exhaust, huffing their own essence, someone once said. Today, it used to take a rich person like Howard Hughes. Today, any poor person could do it. And now with social media, it's become much worse. I'm going to filter out the stuff that doesn't agree with the things I believe. Yeah. I don't agree with that. I'm just going to block it. Yeah, if I block it, then I don't have to listen to it. And if I don't have to listen to it, that means I won't be confronted on the fact that the silly things I believe in don't make any sense. Because I'm not going to have my precious beliefs going after, you know. Ultimately, these people know that they can't. Like the pampered little chihuahua that shakes. It can't stand the light of day. That's why they protect it and they shield it. Well, it gets so angry when you go after it. Oh, no. How dare you state facts and logic? Like the guy from the incident from yesterday. He had his own belief systems, which were, you know, rather wacky. But I don't care. I never liked him or disliked him. But debating college kids is about the worst thing you could do because these people are heinously attached to silly beliefs. I mean, these people embody the idea of social media, living in your mom's basement, playing video games, sniffing your own essence, you know, totally a golden calf, a golden idol that they put up on a bed. This is me. This is what I believe. Yeah. How dare you? When there is 0 degrees between the belief and the person is where 99% of this world is so messed up. And it is, especially Western society. Interesting when I'm some of these boards debating, like people that are from Switzerland, they don't care what you say. They're only interested in the only thing they see is facts. They don't see the ad hominem. They don't see the blathering nonsense or the belief system silliness. They just like, you know, that's logical, that's factual. Never been to Switzerland, but I notice it out of Swiss people. Not so much out of Germans anymore. They used to be that way decades ago, but not now. Winning at debates is not about winning, but about sharpening your mind against ignorance and lies and this little belief system. You're supposed to make yourself impermeable, like waterproof, to lies and nonsense and fallacies. It's like, I'm glad you believe that, but that's not who you are. And people say, what do you believe in this? I believe in that. You believe in this? You don't believe what I believe, and since you don't believe what I believe, then I believe I don't like you anymore. And if I don't like you anymore because you believe something different than me, then I believe you're my enemy. And hence, you know, we go from DEFCON 5 to 4 to 3 to 2, and then you're about that far away from DEFCON 1. Boom! Well, you're equal to me in spirit. Of course, they'll never admit that because they're delusional. But you don't believe what I believe, and therefore I believe I don't like you. And since you don't believe what I believe, and therefore I don't like you, I think that I believe we got a problem. And I'm going to have to solve that problem. You know the answer to the completion of that sentence, don't you? I believe we have to solve that problem. We got a problem, and it's unsolvable because you believe something totally different than me. I love it when people say, do you believe in ghosts? It's like, I don't care what people believe. Belief is the plaything of children. I don't care what people believe. Will you believe in this? Oy. People hollow themselves out when they make a mirage of their true self or transcendent self. Same reason the people on the train didn't do a thing to help that person. I'm not going to mention the incident, but you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, you should think about that because there's nobody else on the tube talking about what I just talked about. There ain't. Yes, I know ain't isn't a word. Thank you so much for watching. Lux Veritas. By the way, I have a lot of free articles on Substack and the link below. If you like any of my videos, any donations, always warmly welcome. Or just send me an email. I love to chat with people. See you in live stream. Bye. Do you believe what I believe?